welcome to our English news bulletin broadcast to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives a phone call from the head of the Spanish government, Pedro Sanchez, during which he expresses his thanks to Algeria for being a reliable partner in the energy sector. Under the presidency of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and for the first time ever, the League of the Arab States celebrates the International Women's Day. The role of the Arab woman and her achievements in several sectors were put forward in the President of the Republic's message on the occasion, read by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman. The Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingareha, presides on Monday a ceremony organized in honor of the women in the civil and military personnel of the Ministry of National Defense and its constituent bodies. Reflecting the will of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his Mauritanian counterpart, Mohammed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazawani, to boost the bilateral partnership and trade exchange between the two countries. The first shipment arrived on Monday at the port of Nouakchott. Protests against the high cost of living are still ongoing in Morocco. Many sectors are on strike, while the Makhzen regime is continuing its violent repression. Good evening. Those were today's top stories. First, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Sunday a phone call from the President of the Spanish government, Pedro Sanchez, during which he expressed his thanks to Algeria as a reliable partner in the field of energy. He also affirmed his willingness to work for the development and strengthening of the partnership between the two countries. On this occasion, the President of the Spanish government presented to the President of the Republic his sincere condolences following the death of an Algerian student in Ukraine. Under the presidency of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and under the theme, The Arab Woman, Singularity and Aspiration, the League of the Arab States celebrated via video conference for the first time the International Women's Day, following Algeria's proposal and organization. The celebrations were at the level of Arab ministries in charge of women. On this occasion, and in a speech read on his behalf by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, said that the International Women's Day is celebrated this year in a particular situation which Algeria and all the other countries have been experiencing for the past 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And in this context, many Arab women were able to accomplish many achievements in several fields in which they stood out brilliantly at the national and international levels. This is the result of the importance given by the leaders of Arab countries to women, starting by the establishment of a legal framework favoring their empowerment, which enabled them to progress in several fields. Algeria, added the President of the Republic in his speech, enshrined in its 2020 constitution gender equality in all sectors, as well as the protection of women against all types of violence in public and professional spheres under all circumstances. This is a leap of high quality that strengthened the achievements of Algerian women who marked their presence and proved their competences in the state's high functions and positions. The President of the Republic then seized this opportunity to hail and express his thanks to all Arab women working in the health sector for their efforts in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The President of the Republic further wrote in his speech that the Arab women took huge steps in several fields as ambassadors and diplomats to the different United Nations bodies and scholars in the various scientific sectors. The Arab women also stood out by managing different ministerial portfolios, including women's affairs and health and foreign affairs and defense, as well as holding the position of head of government. The President also hailed the constant role of the Arab women in the establishment and preservation of peace in regions of armed conflict in accordance with Resolution 1325, which enshrines the equal and full participation of women in peacekeeping operations. The President also took this opportunity to pay special tribute to the Palestinian women. The head of state then called on the Arab countries to work together to intensify efforts in order to consolidate women's achievements and empower them. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, concluded his speech by wishing the Arab women all the best while reiterating the trust placed in their skills and competences. The video conference for the celebration of the International Women's Day witnessed the participation of the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abul Ghaith. This latter hailed this initiative organized under the presidency of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. He highlighted the women's role in times of crisis. On Monday, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingariha, presided over the celebration ceremony of the International Women's Day at the headquarters of the Ministry of National Defense. The details with Nabila Zouad.
On the eve of the celebration of the International Women's Day, corresponding to March 8th of each year, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingariha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, presided on Monday afternoon of March 7th, 2022, at the headquarters of the Ministry of National Defense, a ceremony in honor of the female personnel. The ceremony was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Defense, the heads of departments, the General Control of the Army, the directors and heads of central services of the Ministry of National Defense, and the General Staff of the National People's Army. On this occasion, the Lieutenant General addressed a speech during which he congratulated the female personnel, all categories, military and civilian, on the occasion of their International Day. In this context, he recalled the struggles led by Algerian women to defend the moral and ethical values of society and to fight against attempts to alienate the identity of the nation. The Algerian woman has given the most honorable images of heroism and has embodied the model of struggle and supreme sacrifice for the greatness and sovereignty of the motherland, having inherited from mother to daughter the values of pride and dignity, which she in turn passed on to successive generations. She was an important link in the unity and cohesion of Algerian society during the colonial period. It has thus preserved the moral and ethical values of Algerian society and has stood as a solid bulwark against all attempts to alienate the culture and civilizational identity to the nation, which is deeply rooted in history. On this occasion, duty calls to pay a vibrant tribute to the memory of free women and women martyrs of Algeria for the sacrifices they have made throughout our history, starting with the popular resistance through the glorious revolution of national liberation up to the years of the fight against terrorism. Indeed, the free women and heroines of Algeria with a strong will and determination faced the bloodthirsty terrorism which condemned women to oppression wherever they were, in the street, at school, at university, at work, and even within their families. These retrograde ideas could only prevent women from opening up to the world and evolving in their social professional life. The general stressed that within the National People's Army, initiatives were being taken to enable women to play a pivotal role in the process of developing the capacities of our armed forces. Those achievements will remain eternally engraved in the collective memory of the nation and will guide, like a lighthouse, the rising generations on the way to build a new, strong and prosperous Algeria, as desired by our valiant ancestors and as envisioned by the President of the Republic, Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Abdelmajid Tebboune. Thus, initiatives have followed one another within the National People's Army with the air of the National Liberation Army to enable women to play a pivotal role in the process of developing the capacities of our armed forces. She is now a major player in many fields, which were, until recently, the prerogative of her male colleague. At the end of the ceremony, the Lieutenant General honored female military and civilian personnel working in the various structures of the AMP and the security corps.
In an atmosphere of serenity and in the presence of his comrades and senior state officials, the Mujahid or war veteran Abdel Hamid Sid Ali was buried on Monday in Al Alia Cemetery here in Algiers. The President of the Republic had sent on Sunday a message of condolences to the family of the late, during which he hailed his long and rich career. Moving on to the parliamentary activity, the Minister of Finance, Abdurrahman Rawiya, presented on Monday the draft law on budgetary regulations for the 2019 fiscal year to the members of the National People's Assembly. During a plenary session chaired by Ibrahim Boughali, the President of the Assembly, and in the presence of the Minister of Relations with the Parliament, Basma Azwar, the Finance Minister presented figures related to the implementation of the 2019 budget. In addition, the budget deficit recorded this year 1,457 billion dinars, or 7.13% of the gross domestic product. In his capacity as the official representative of the President of the Republic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ramtal Amamara, paid a working visit to the Republic of Lebanon. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was received by the Lebanese President, Michel Aoun, to whom he handed over a handwritten letter from his brother, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, conveying his greetings and his wishes of health, prosperity and stability to the government and brotherly Lebanese people. For his part, the Lebanese President, Michel Aoun, instructed the Foreign Affairs Minister, Ramtal Amamara, to convey his sincere greetings to his brother, President Abdelmajid Tebboune, reiterating Algeria's supporting stance towards Lebanon, especially during the difficult period it went through. He also expressed pride in the relations between the two countries, which are based on fraternity, solidarity and mutual aid. On this occasion, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Ramtal Amamara, said that Algeria is honored to host the upcoming Arab Summit, an appointment to which Algeria prepares and deploys great efforts to unify the ranks and meet all the conditions for the holding of this summit. A unifying summit, added Ramtal Amamara, that will be culminated with success, a success which will be evaluated according to the ability of the Arab heads of state to create convergence and to take decisions that will help the Arab world to face up to the different challenges. In another context, Ramtal Amamara was received by the head of the Lebanese government, Najib Mikati. The talks between the two parties focused on operational measures to be taken in order to develop cooperation between the two brotherly countries in several vital sectors such as energy. He also to have a greater scope to the mechanisms of bilateral cooperation, including the Joint Commission. The historical relations between Algeria and Lebanon, as well as their exceptional echo at all levels, were at the heart of the discussions held by Ramtal Amamara with the President of the Lebanese Parliament, Nabih Berri. Ramtal Amamara had a working meeting with his Lebanese counterpart, Abdullah Bouhabib. During this meeting, the two parties reviewed the issues raised on the Arab scene and agreed to consolidate their consultations and coordination, given that Lebanon will chair the Arab League Council at the ministerial level during its 157th ordinary session, which will start on March 9th in Cairo. In another development, the Minister of Justice, Abdurrashid Tabbi, met on Monday with his Saudi counterpart, Walid bin Mohammed Al Sam'ani, in the Saudi capital, Riyadh. The meeting was held in the presence of the Algerian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Mohammed Ali Bougazi. They discussed ways and means to concretize the bilateral cooperation in the field of justice. The two parties then expressed their willingness to explore the different legal aspects in the interest of both countries, while stressing on the deeply rooted relations existing between the two countries and peoples and the will to strengthen them and work to exchange expertise between the two countries' judiciaries. Reflecting the will of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and his Mauritanian counterpart, Mohammed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazawani, to boost the bilateral partnership and promote trade exchanges between the two countries, the first shipment arrived on Monday at the port of Nouakchott, filled with local products exported to the brotherly Islamic Republic of Mauritania. This maritime line is an important economic channel for the economic customers of both countries. Oil price reached on Sunday its highest level since July of 2008, reaching $139.13 US, a rise boosted by the crisis in Ukraine. Morocco is on fire with strikes in various sectors. For example, the walkout of passengers and goods transporters. They are protesting, among other things, the failure to meet their demands concerning the downward revision of fuel prices. More details with Laetitia Stqawi.
Moroccans denounce the outrageous increase in consumer products, fruits, vegetables, and especially fuels. They protest every day and organize days of demonstration to mark their anger with these price hikes that impact their standard of living, already at the lowest according to protesters. Everywhere in Moroccan cities, the streets are rumbling and citizens intend to follow through to the fullest for their demands.
تلبية لنداء الجبهة الاجتماعية المغربية على الصعيد الوطني من أجل الاستمرار في الاحتجاج، من أجل جعل اليوم الأحد 6 مارس يوما للاحتجاج على طول.
We are here at the call of Moroccan Social Front to continue the protest at the level of all Morocco. Citizens of more than 40 Moroccan cities responded to the call of the Social Front and took to the streets with a single slogan: to put an end to corruption and arbitrary. We are here to remind them each time of our demands, which are dignity, justice, social equality, and also to express popular anger and denounce the increase in the prices of consumer products. As an example, tomato, exported abroad and which is sold here at 10 to 12 dirham per kilo. It is a disgrace at a time where unemployment is rising among young people. The Social Front initiated this protest to also support contractual teachers who were violated by the Makhzen following the organization of a demonstration to demand their rights. We teachers are present here to respond to the call of the Moroccan Social Front, with whom we share the same social demands. That said, we will continue our fight and continue our protest in response to the repression of the Makhzen that contractual teachers suffered from, which made them go to the streets and demand their rights. The high cost of living has also affected fuels, which has pushed transporters to launch a walkout alongside teachers and all citizens who feel that their most basic rights have been violated.
Still in Morocco, where the Makhzen regime increased repression against the discontent population and the arrests are more and more common. Laetitia Stqawi once again.
Since the beginning of the demonstrations, the situation in Morocco is still in the news. Citizens continue to take to the streets to express their frustration with an unsustainable social situation. Rising prices of fruit and vegetables, fuel and consumer goods, they have made a whole people rise up. The Makhzen reacted by arresting the demonstrators who took to the streets.
We are
now in front of the state of security in Tanger. We assure the public opinion that Comrade Abdullah Al-Harif, after leading a seminar on Saturday, was arrested from the hotel for no reason other than the fact that he had a check that he paid 2 months ago and they came to arrest him. and we would like to demand the error correction in which the system of all kinds has occurred, the judicial system or the persecution. So we demand the release of the comrade who is still detained at the state headquarters, but we are still waiting for this misery in which we live to end. This is nothing but a response to the success of the symposium organized by Comrade Abdullah Al-Harif. The Makhzen is trying to thwart our resolve and to tarnish the reputation of honest and loyal people. We deny and affirm that there is no such fabricated case, where it is mentioned that the detainee had a desire for money. When he gave up the money in favor of the Equity and Reconciliation Committee, he made it clear that he was with the popular groups and the working class in order to obtain their rights. Our right is to build the party of the working class until all just and legitimate demands are met. Moroccan people would love to live free and have a decent life. We refute this sophisticated press that wants to tarnish the reputation of people.
This is nothing but an arbitrary and retaliatory arrest of one of the fighting comrades for freedom, dignity, democracy and human rights. The comrade moral is very high. He left me his medicine because he had several heart operations, and we like to persevere so that the comrade comes to us with his head held high as we have entrusted him.
The transporters of passengers and goods have begun a general strike of 72 hours renewable in order to contest the non-satisfaction of their claims by the tutelage concerning the downward revision of fuel prices and the refusal of dialogue with the unions of the sector. Some Moroccans are not ready to give up until the overthrow of the system. Another rally planned for Monday is that of the coordination of contractual teachers who are protesting against the repression of which they were victims during their last demonstration in Rabat, where they were repressed. Some were seriously injured and even arrested.
That was Nabila Zouad reporting, and we wrap up our today's news with sports. For the 20th day of the Football Professional League, CR Belouizdad won the derby at home to Parado AC on Monday 2-0 to consolidate their position at the top of the League One Football Championship. The first goal was scored by Raghba at the 80th minute, and the second goal was signed by Merzougi at the 91st minute. Please not. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come up to our today's news. Thank you for joining us.